So this is my new habit, talking to my two friends on Facebook about my opinion on what's happening, which is not funny at all, which is terror attacks that I've been close to twice now. And I don't accept a Prime Minister and a President saying that we need to get used to this environment of violence where we're not safe. And I, I guess that's because I think that they are perpetuating this cycle of violence. They have a war machine right now that, based on what a truck did with a Tunisian man in the south of France, they are going to bomb people in Syria and Iraq. It's not connected, but they're using that story where which outraged a nation to justify mass murder on the other side of the world. We don't get to see pictures of that, so we don't get to cry for the children in Syria who are being bombed right now, because when you bomb one terrorist, around them, they're assimilated into communities. Around them are a whole lot of innocent civilians and a lot of children. When you watch these videos of what's happening in Syria, a lot of children are dying. And the lives of Syrians and people from Iraq are no less significant than the lives of the French children who were crushed to death by that truck. We seem to be blindly just kind of looking at what happens in one part of the world as a gross tragedy, and what happens in another part of the world as just the way it is right now. We're at war. Well, we're at war because we let our politicians go in to kill. We're at war because we let taxpayers' budgets be spent on, instead of helping get the homeless off the street and giving, adequate healthcare to everyone and things like that, which dignity for citizens, we are letting them build fighter jets and bombs and guns and go off to kill people, to empire build, to gain resource contracts, construction contracts, and to make the defense industry owners billions of dollars. And so, to my friends that I spoke to yesterday, God, how can you think, oh, that's just a lone wolf mad guy who drove a truck into some people, when so clearly the next day it's announced that we're escalating war against two unrelated nations, but kind of telling the story like it's a retaliation or a link. It's the response to this attack. We're going to war against these two countries and we're going to kill a lot of people. And because we go to war and kill a lot of people are going to make money. It's a cycle of violence. And the fact that that violence then comes back upon us, and the fact that Valls and Hollande openly say that we need to get used to that violence coming back upon us, it makes total sense, because whilst they're killing, people perhaps will want to come and kill us, or what I think is more likely, and who knows and who cares really at this stage, it's just too easy for these people to set up these attacks so that they have the billion-dollar benefit of going to war and doing every stage of destroying a country to rebuilding a country and taking control of it. It's absolutely terrifying. So I keep talking about it because last time after the Paris attacks, I went, well, I can't do anything about war, okay, so I go back to work, I forget about it. But now the second one in my neighborhood, when's the third? And there are some glaringly obvious issues that unless we resolve, there's going to be a third. I don't know if it's next year or next month, but there will be a third. So how do we stop that third attack, that third major attack? And the first thing has to be new leadership. We have violent men in power. They are going to war every day and killing, and they go home and sleep at night, and it's cool. Everything's cool. Mass murder is normal. It's not normal. War is not normal. Some guys may have got together and made an agreement at some stage that we can make rules of war, rules of killing, rules of death, but I'm sorry, they're insane. It's not normal to kill. And if we want a world of peace, we have to stop the killing. And if we want to stop the killing, we have to change the leadership who is intent to kill. There is no difference to me between the guy who drives the truck into some poor people standing on the street watching the fireworks, as I was in the same area, and the guy who sits up and leaves the country and sends billion-dollar war machine in to kill on the other side of the world. I'm sorry, there's no difference. They are people with the intent to cause violence, and there is little wonder that we are growing in a culture of violence when our leadership exhibits the worst of it. It's no surprise. So I was thinking, how do we stop these evil men who run France right now and are sending us to war? And so I was thinking, it's very difficult, but I did think one very relevant piece of law, new law, could be the law of peace, different pieces, the law of peace. Okay, so imagine the law of peace, which eliminated every single possible benefit of war. Yeah, no defense companies making billions of dollars in profit from going to war, no resource companies related to that conflict at all who have made the investment in war get to benefit. No construction companies get to rebuild who were related to that country who aggressed. None of it. As for Daesh, someone said to me, but we've got to stop Daesh. That's Bashir's problem in Syria, and it's the Iraq government's problem in Iraq. And of course, the insurgents wouldn't be funded by France, as the Guardian said they were if there was no profit or political benefit to it. France wouldn't be sending money over there unless there was a hope to win this game at the end of it. And it is a game. They're playing a game with our lives and our future. And I spoke to children yesterday, and they're like, well, what happens to us? What happens when we grow up? We live in this world of violence where we're not safe anywhere. We're growing this culture of fear, and we're letting it happen. So I think we need a law of peace. I think those in the legal circles, need to work out what are the laws that the United Nations can introduce and put to a vote. And hopefully there are enough sane countries to agree to it that make it impossible for these violent, sick men who run our country or drive trucks into crowds, whichever they are, because one murders en masse and the other one murders a small group isolated. The other one murders en masse every day. So I'm sorry, both sick, both violent, some more than others. How they don't get to benefit from the hate and violence and destruction that they're spreading. Bashir is the nation state in Syria. He can deal with Daesh, or people can support him to deal with Daesh. And if they want to change leadership, they can do it in a democratic kind of way. They don't need to have foreign nations supporting them to destroy civilians all over Syria and create all these refugees. It's just insane. The other thing I was thinking we could, because I was speaking to children, so I was thinking we should have a children's coup, and all the children should vote for the next president, but immediately, because for sure they would vote out Hollande and Val. Children are so logical with this. They do not want mass murderers, people who lead wars against other nations, running their country. France is an elegant, beautiful country. It should be a nation of peace, not run by madmen who want to kill in order to empire build and gain resource contracts. I'm sorry, but we can be self-sufficient in clean energy. I even do a project on that. We can be self-sufficient. We do not need to go these old economic models that require control of other nations to survive. We've got to stop raping and pillaging other nations in order to survive, and destroying other people without conscience, seemingly. And the other thing when I was speaking to children, maybe we could have a dance for peace, and do it outside the parliament where Hollande is, so that he never gets to leave, or he leaves and they never let him back in because the entire parliament is surrounded by children dancing for peace. Maybe they need to block the entrance to the car park so we can't go back in. But I think that we don't want this mad man and his friends running any sort of country. So that's what I think. God, it's such an unpopular opinion in some ways I have, and then other people agree with me. But this is not about Muslims. This is not about race and religion. This is about violent people, and the violence starts from the top. It starts from the leadership. And whilst we accept violent leaders, people may come back to hurt us. So we need to sort it out.